Well, good morning everybody. Welcome to my garden. My name is McKenna and I am president of Dundee Floral Art Club. Now we're all very disappointed, as we were last year, that there will be no Dundee show this year, but we are having a virtual show, and like last year I'm going to arrange some flowers for the virtual show. Now at the present time, the in container is a jam jar. Jam jars are very popular for weddings and for celebrations, and just if you're able to pop a few flowers into a jam jar to brighten up your living room. I've got a jam jar here. It was bolognese sauce that was in it, and it's a nice tall container, and all round about it with a rubber band to secure is some spring onions. Here we are. Now, you will need approximately 3 bunches of spring onions. And you know, ladies, they're not expensive. Tesco sell them for 37p a bunch, so 3 bunches is not an expensive commodity to get. So we'll slide the spring onions down to be held in position with the rubber bands. Now I've done a lot of this already because you don't want to watch me doing this all the way around the jar. It would be boring in the extreme. So we'll just put these, we'll take this leaf off because it's not very tidy. And you just cut your spring onion to the length that you want. Just pushing it down. It's very easy to do. People say that flower arranging is an expensive hobby. Well, it's only as expensive as you want to make it. And by using a jam jar and just buying a few spring onions from the supermarket, this is not going to cost a great deal of money. People also say, oh, I'd love to be able to do that. I just put everything in a vase. Well, if that's how you like to put your flowers, that's absolutely fine. There's no problem. But isn't this an easy way to flower arrange? There we are. Put the last one in. We don't mind the roots being there of our spring onion. It gives us some texture into our design. And there we are. Next we would have to fill up the jar with some water, but just before we do that, we'll take a piece of ribbon because we don't really want to see the rubber bands, and we will just put some ribbon round about the rubber band to hide it. You could use raffia, or you could use wool, or even some garden twine would be a good medium to use. So there we are, there's the first one on, and now we'll do the bottom one, just to hide the mechanics, as we say. Right, can't tie a wee bow, and that certainly brightens our container up, doesn't it? What a difference that makes. Right. Oh no, doesn't matter. We would now pour some water into the jar, and that will be ready for the flowers. Now I've just gone round the garden and chosen what was growing in the garden at the present time. So some Alchemilla mollis to start with, lady's mantle. Everybody knows this, and it seeds all over your garden. Cut off the bottom leaf because we really don't want that to be in the water. That's what helps to make water go smelly, and we certainly don't want smelly water. Now I did have another one, and now I can't see it. Here, it's here, and we'll put that piece in too. Get the leaf off. What else was in the garden? Well, some of those lovely Japanese anemones which are just coming out in bursts at the present moment, so we'll add those in. It's actually quite good to keep those pieces there. They're very interesting and give a lot of interest into your jam jar. So there we are, we'll add that. And another one that's quite well open, we'll have it as well. These are really lovely, so delicate in the garden. Right, we've also got a piece of this flower here that seeds itself everywhere, and I'm sorry to tell you, I really don't know what it's called, but it just grows. It doesn't matter how often you yank it out and think you've got to the bottom of it, it appears back again. Comes in great long stems, and there we are. And we'll just add these in. And here's another one. Got a right curly stem, this one, doesn't it? Now, what else is in the garden at the present time? You see, this is where you can see flower arranging is really not an expensive hobby. Here is some astrantia, or the straw flower. Again, seeds itself all over the garden. But it's nice to see that happening. They just appear and seed themselves, and it's quite good to have something like that. There we are now. I also got a stem of this absolutely lovely little rose. I think it's called the fairy, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's just a small miniature rose. We'll just add that one in too. And you can see how quickly the jar is filling out. A few scabious. Another excellent plant to grow in your herbaceous border. This is quite a small one, but at the same time it's very pretty and very delicate. So there we are, ladies. Oh, there's some of this white flower, and again this just is rampant if you let it get a hold, and I'm actually not terribly sure what it's called, and I definitely don't know where I got it from, but it's just appeared. Always remember to take the bottom leaves off the stem. There we are now. One more, I think, and that will just finish off this design. Now, what was difficult in that? There we are. There is a jam jar filled with lovely flowers from the garden. I'm sorry about all this traffic noise, but you know, there's not a lot we can do about it, unfortunately. So there's our flowers using just some simple things from the garden. Another idea, and the same similar idea as that one, is I've got this little trivet here, and collecting up a whole group of little glass jars. For instance, this little tall one, it had honey in it. It came in a selection of honeys I gave my husband for his Christmas, because he's very partial to honey. So there we are, there is our little honey jars. Here is another jar. It's a dumpier jar, and this one had yogurt in it. It was very delicious, I can tell you. So we've just filled that up with those, and then to finish off, this was a plant. It had a plant in it at one time, and it is silver and bright, so I thought that this would add nicely into the centre of our collection. So there we are, ladies, a very easy way to flower arrange. You could use this on your coffee table, or you could use it if you were having guests in for a meal. and have it as your table arrangement. Easily done and very quick. And again, I've only used flowers from the garden. What else can we use? Well, you know, there's many containers that you will find either in your garage or in your hut that you can easily use to flower arrange with. And one of those ones would be taking a saucer, just this, a plant saucer like that one, and into this is our flower pot, and using what we call in the flower arranging world a top hat container. It's just a plastic container with a wide brim. It's not terribly deep, and it takes about 2/3 of a block of oasis. I've just put that into the top of my plant pot, and there you are. Fill it out with what is very popular at the present moment, sunflowers. The shops are full of sunflowers, but they're bright and cheerful. I've also got some hostas here. These lovely hostas came from my daughter's garden, and also some alchemilla mollis. Here we have some lovely yellow euonymus, just to give us a bit of depth into the base of our arrangement. But I'm also very sure you'll all have a flower pot in your hut or in your garage that you could easily use to as a container. So we'll move this over here, and I'll show you another idea. There we are, I'll just put that there. Now, quite some years ago, and it is quite some years ago, that when you went to the Dundee show, you could buy Discovery compost, and it came in the cutest little bucket, just like our brown buckets that we put our grass clippings or your waste from the garden. Into this I've sat a container, just a square one. It will sit at the top, and a piece of oasis, a third of a brick of oasis. I hope you all know how to soak oasis, because this is very important. You take your oasis and you place it in a basin of water. Just leave it to float. It will gradually sink down as it soaks up the water. Don't take your finger and push it down in the hopes that you'll hurry it up, because that just doesn't work. You'll get an air block in that case, and that's not good for the flower that happens to hit that air block. Into this container I've put some gladioli. Now, gladioli also are extremely popular in the shops at the present moment. Now, when you buy your gladioli, they will come with a large stem like this. You will see that sometimes you can see just the start of some of the flowers coming through, but all of those here at the top, these will just never come out. So just cut it out altogether, and this will encourage the flowers that are in the lower stem to grow better and stronger. And so you can have a nice collection of gladioli. They come in so many wonderful colours just now. The red ones are absolutely fabulous. Sometimes you should maybe just hang on to that a little bit, because we just pop it into the back here of your design, and it just fills it out. It won't flower, but it just gives another piece of foliage that's of interest. So there you are. I have some fatsias into this one, fatsias that grow in my garden. Some lovely euonymus with this cream edge on it. It's just beautiful. And some frilly alchemilla mollis, just to fill it all out. You know, You could even use a hanging basket if you wished to place flowers in. And earlier this year, when it was flower arranging day, which is in May, I did take a hanging basket and filled it with flowers and hung it outside. Usually we would take it and place it somewhere in a place of interest in the town, and people would see it and could just take it away and enjoy it. But because of the virus, we're not allowed to do that at the present time. So I hung mine outside the front door in the hopes that the milkman and the postie and the paper boy would all enjoy the flowers. I hope I've given you just a few simple ideas on how you too can flower arrange in this present time. Goodbye.